Ever since the death of Charlie Kirk on September 10th by this terrible human being, and we always have to actually put him out there and expose him for who he really is, Tyler Robinson, he is the very sole individual that murdered Charlie Kirk, and we all know that this had a lot to do with the fact that he actually feared freedom of speech. He had a problem with Charlie Kirk having, of course, his own opinions, and that's exactly what happened. We know that there's a lot of other things to actually learn about the whole motive, but that's basically the basis point. We know one thing about this right now is that since September 10th, there's been a lot of celebrities, a lot of personalities, a lot of those in the media, really saying awful things about Charlie Kirk, outright lying about this man, and it's just disgusting behavior. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Stephen King is that we know that he is dealing with tremendous backlash right now, and we all know why. He actually spewed those lies on social media, specifically on X, saying basically how, essentially, Charlie Kirk was acting very violent toward members of the LGBTQ community, which turned out to be completely false, a complete lie, to the point that King was actually forced to apologize. And the reason why he was forced to apologize, we discussed this just yesterday, is that he was supposed to actually be affiliated with top 3 movie theater chains like AMC, National Amusements, and Regal Cinemas to actually promote the upcoming new movie, The Long Walk, which features Mark Hamill, and he was actually canceled from those events. What's even more interesting now, though, has a lot to do with his recent firing. We're going to dive into the exact specifics about all of this and exactly what happened. Now, we know one thing about Stephen King. I think he's right up there. In fact, I think he's more insufferable than Mark Hamill, Robert De Niro, and among others combined, because he really just shows no remorse. Now, with the death of Charlie Kirk creating all sorts of emotions from many people, and it's only natural to feel the way that you're feeling right now. Unfortunately, celebrities and personalities like Stephen King, who lied about Charlie Kirk even after his death, actually received record-breaking backlash and was forced to apologize. Now, one major development going on now involves more to do with Stephen King getting fired by a major Hollywood studio, and exactly what happened in specifics here. Now, this comes shortly after King was banned to make special appearances for the film The Long Walk at many movie theater chains. We just talked about that before. However, a crucial update here is that Stephen King was fired by both HBO and Warner Brothers Television after HBO executives saw what he had posted on X about Charlie Kirk, and the reaction to it all. It turns out that Stephen King was supposed to make a special cameo appearance in HBO's series It, Welcome to Derry, which serves as a new addition to the It universe. King's cameo was scheduled to be filmed at last minute in a dedicated studio associated with HBO, where he was supposed to appear in one of the later episodes as a convenience store owner with a troubled past in Derry, who holds information about the missing children in the show's plot, and a new revelation to Pennywise the Dancing Clown. This cameo appearance was planned to be filmed in a matter of 2 days maximum, around 5 to 6 minutes long, for the entire scene featuring King. And King was reportedly excited to begin filming the scene during the end of September, just before the release of the series on October 26th. Now, HBO executives and even its CEO decided to fire Stephen King and boot him from making any kind of a cameo appearance in the show. They are also in the works of canceling some other featurettes that were going to be filmed, which would involve special questions and answers, as well as told by Stephen King. He was supposed to film exclusive content on top of all of that for HBO's streaming service as well to promote the series. This too was completely cancelled apart from his cameo appearance in Welcome to Derry. HBO execs were in a panic when they heard the news, not just about King's lies about Charlie, but also about his forced apology, which is when they knew the backlash was just that serious. Now guys, before I move on, let me just say one thing about Stephen King. He's an awful human being. I think that we could all agree about that. He says some really crazy, wacky things on X, and more often, you know, he will never apologize for anything unless he's forced to, and we actually saw a very rare apology just yesterday because he was forced to do so. And that forced apology comes right from the up and up over at Lionsgate. Lionsgate, I don't know if you guys knew this, but they are the ones that actually put together the movie The Long Walk. And multiple movie theater chains also urged him to apologize. We're talking about Regal, National Amusements, AMC. And this is where it gets even more interesting now, because when you're looking at HBO and Warner Brothers Television that put together the show It, Welcome to Derry, It's coming out in just a little over a month, mind you. And he was supposed to have this very special cameo appearance. I don't think anyone would want to see a Stephen King cameo appearance, at least the people that despise this guy and are against his overall views, and how he just really is very extreme with his overall views. And I think, if anything, it would have actually turned a lot of people off from the show, to be quite frank. But we know one thing about this, alright? We know that this series is supposed to actually expand the It universe, alright? It's supposed to expand the It franchise, if you will. We had It Part 1 and It Part 2. And It Part 2 was released quite a ways back, quite a number of years ago. So it's been a while since we've had any kind of iteration of the It universe, either on the big screen or at home on streaming, and this is their one chance, right? So one thing about King here is that we know that he's really trying to challenge this overall decision by HBO. Let's get into the actual details about that. Now, one thing about Stephen King is that we know that he's got quite a temper, and he can really actually display that temper in the worst case scenarios. Now, the cameo appearance was planned to be filmed in just a matter of 2 days, mind you. It was going to be a very short thing, very short-lived. However, this is where it's really, really interesting. Now, a character associated with the lore of the It franchise coming directly from the books was supposed to make a special cameo next to King in the scene. To make matters worse for the HBO actual series and for HBO itself is that they built an entire set dedicated for Stephen King's appearance, which cost around $800,000 plus to build it in front of green screen setups in the background to supplement the practical effects. Now, Stephen King, of course, get this, was said to actually be outright furious with HBO's decision to fire him from the show, and is already planning to go public about his disgust with HBO on X and other forms of social media, so keep a lookout for that, as he is said to be desperate to share his side of the story about what happened. Already HBO is dealing with internal struggles from King and his entire team. Now, mind you, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Stephen King, he's actively trying to promote the Long Walk movie. This movie, so far, as far as I'm concerned, it's not going to do well. When you have a lot of people now boycotting this film, I would be very shocked if it's going to be like a major blockbuster success. It may do somewhat okay, let's be very real, but I don't think it's going to be anything truly, truly special out there, as much as It Part 1 or Part 2. But again, we know one thing about Stephen King right now is that he is a narcissistic individual, very self-absorbed, very much one that hates to apologize for anything that he says or does, that creates a lot of widespread backlash, and what happened just yesterday on X was a very big prime example there. So again, I mean, like I say, I think that when you're looking at Stephen King, he's very comparable to those out there like Mark Hamill, or those out there like Robert De Niro, who really just act in such an unhinged behavior, and really it just comes back at them. It really does. It comes back at them by the millions of people boycotting their projects, boycotting their work, and really just creating an actual line in the sand to say, this is where we stand now. We're not going to actually follow your work anymore or support it if you continue to actually act like that. And people are tired of it. But overall, I'd like to hear what you all have to say about this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.